It is sweet and highly precious. It's known from prehistoric times. The ancient Egyptians used it as a treatment for digestive disorders, and they used to make ointments to treat sores and wounds. And in ancient Greece, it was known as the food of the gods, with Pythagoras considering it the elixir of long life. Let's talk about honey. Now, what is honey? Honey is this sweet substance that bees actually make for us. And how do bees make it? Bees get nectar from 3 sources in nature, and they build their hives, and in their hives they convert the nectar into honey. So basically we can say that honey is a naturally processed concentrate of nectar. And I'm saying concentrate because the nectar is about 80% water, whereas honey is 18% water. So this is an amazing process. The bees in the beehive have an entire, factory there that produce honey. Now, this is part of the cells in the beehive. We're going to have a closer look a little bit later. And they have wonderful products in that beehive. I mean, other than the honey, there's the propolis, there's the royal gel, there's the wax, which are all beneficial to humans. But really, I mean, this is a wonderful thing to offer to us. Now, not all honeys are the same. Unfortunately, especially in the Western world, we see that, if you want to buy honey, you go into the grocery store, and usually it's in the shelf close to the sugars, and honey always has the same color and the same consistency. The truth of the matter is that it is really not like that. Thinking about it, if bees go out and gather honey, gather the nectar from different sources in different places of the world, then it's only logical that honey, the result, would have different colors, different consistencies, different qualities. Bees get the nectar from 3 sources. They either get it from flowers, regular flowers. They can get it from blossoms. For example, here I have the beautiful arbutus tree. This was the blossom, and this became the fruit. So in the meantime, the bee comes and gets the nectar and makes honey out of it. Or it can go to honeycombs, to trees that do not bear fruits, like oak tree, and get nectar from there. So we can see here, for example, this is some really good honey that I have. This honey is actually from Greece. The honey that comes from trees, from flowers and blossoms, is usually lighter in color and a little bit more fluidy than other honeys. And the honey that comes from, this is from oak. It's thicker, and this is actually one of my favorite honeys because it's thick. It's as if more stable, but surprisingly, it's also a little bit less sweet. Now, the honey that comes from flowers usually is a little bit more expensive because it's more difficult or more time-consuming for them to go and gather the nectar. Officially, we have about 300 different varieties of honey, but really, I mean, there are thousands of combinations. We don't know where the bee goes to get the honey, but we know it's very clean and it's very picky as to where it gets its nectar from. Every place in the world has its own soil for the flowers and the trees, its own atmosphere, its own rainy, cold winter and summer seasons. So the result is going to be thousands of combinations. Let's take a closer look at honey and see what it really does to us. So, honey is made mainly from fructose. Fructose is a simple sugar like glucose, but fructose is the sugar in fruits. It's the sugar that we get from plants. Now, fructose is a lot better because fructose does elevate blood sugar, but it does not elevate blood sugar as abruptly as glucose, the simple sugar that we use, every day with the pastry and the powdered sugar, etc. And this is really a lot better for the body. It's not elevating sugar so abruptly. It's something more natural for the body. It's something it can handle a lot better. So for all of us, but especially for people who are trying to limit their sugar intake or who are not allowed to have a lot of sugar intake, fructose is certainly a better choice. Now, how long does honey last? Really, there's no expiration date, It could be kept forever. Of course, we don't recommend that you keep it forever. We hope that you eat it and consume it and enjoy it. Now, as you can see here, this is the honey that comes from flowers. Now, honey has a rich and thick consistency. It's not very runny. It is fluidy, but the thickness really shows its quality. This is part of the beehive, really. You can see, it is black because of the propolis. This hasn't been cleaned and it's been sitting for a little while, but I can tell you the aroma is exquisite. It's amazing. Now this honey is oak and it's thicker. You can see it's really thicker, and I've seen actually honey which is pitch black, believe it or not. Now this honey over here is from blossoms, but it's crystallized. Now I have here some. Now if honey crystallizes, then that is okay. This is part of the natural process that happens with honey. If you don't like it crystallized, I really don't mind myself, but if you don't like it this way, you can always put the entire jar in a hot water bath, and then the honey would go back to its original form. Okay. Now this honey here was brought to me. I was very lucky from a private beehive keeper. I cannot describe to you the aroma. The aroma is incredible. By the way, the crystallization happens with honey that comes from flowers. Usually honey that comes from regular trees does not crystallize. So now this is amazing. This is an amazing honey. Honey, usually when they take it out of the beehive, they strain it so no propolis or any other residues of wax remain in there, so we can get a clear honey. But all these things that are being strained are really beneficial. It's not really waste. And if you can get your hands on some pure honey, grab it. I cannot really, this is fabulous. This is an amazing, amazing honey. Now this here is honey from the grocery store. I got it, and of course, not everybody is an expert on honey. We're not experts in honey, so how can we differentiate between good honey, pure honey, and honey that's been what we call adulterated? There's sugar added in it, or the bees were fed sugar more than the expected levels, and then eventually what we're getting at our table is really not honey, but a sugary syrup or something. One of the ways, there are many ways to differentiate between pure honey and non-pure honey. One of the ways is to see its behavior in water. So I'm going to pour a little bit of hot water in 2 glasses, and let's see the difference in behavior. So if I put here some honey from a shelf of a supermarket, first of all, I cannot keep it on the spoon. You can see how as it's dripping in the water, it's sort of going undergoing a change, and the water is already not clear water. It's starting to become yellowish, which means some of the sugar is starting to dissolve in there. If I'm going to put some of this honey in the water, you can see how it drips straight to the bottom, and the water is clear. You can see here how this is almost dissolved, whereas this one is still a chunk. So this is one of the ways to differentiate between pure and non-pure honey. So, how nutritious is honey? Honey has about 180 beneficial components. Maybe not every one of the honeys contains all 180, but it's definitely a very rich food and a very beneficial food. Now, it contains different enzymes, amino acids, vitamins. It has antioxidants like B-complex, vitamin C, minerals. It's antimicrobial. It's antifungal. It helps in the healing of wounds, and this is known since ancient times, and minor burns. You know, a lot of the products, skin products, contain honey. They also contain propolis, which is another product within the honey. It helps a lot with the soreness of the throat. It lowers triglycerides. It lowers cholesterol. It's very good for the heart. It's very good for blood pressure. It helps with memory and with better sleep, and it lowers the stress. So its benefits are countless. If you can get your hands on some good honey, grab it. Yes, it does contain about 65 calories per teaspoon, but that's okay. We can substitute the sugar we're eating with honey. Now, if you use honey in your tea or in your coffee, that's okay, but keep in mind that with some of the beneficial components like antioxidants in the honey are very heat sensitive, so it may be that if you put honey in a hot drink, that you may be losing part of its beneficial action. The best way to eat honey is eat it raw. Now, I cannot say that there are groups of people that shouldn't be eating honey. For example, people with diabetes. I'm sure, and I know because I see a lot of people with diabetes in my work, they do eat sugar, and it is something that, you know, our body does ask for frequently. I would definitely prefer to substitute the sugar with the honey. With the babies, sometimes we say that up to a year-old, it's not recommended that we feed babies honey, and maybe that's true because sometimes, especially pure honey, there may be some spores from the beehive in the honey that the sensitive digestive tract of the baby may not be ready for. That's okay. You know, the first year, babies learn to eat so many things. But other than that, honey is a wonderful thing to include in our diet. Please include honey in your everyday nutrition. 1 teaspoon of honey a day is something that's going to benefit our bodies a lot. So keep it in mind and include it in the everyday nutrition. Now, one way to really eat honey is with regular yogurt. You can have some plain yogurt. Now this, you can either have it as an afternoon snack, or you can present it as dessert after a heavy and fatty meal. This would be refreshing with the yogurt. For example, after a steak meal, you can have this, you can present it as a dessert. You can put a teaspoon of honey, actually, on some yogurt, and it can do a really good presentation. Now you can add cinnamon to it, you can add nuts, you can add walnuts, you can add raisins, and present it as a dessert. So think of ways where you can eat it raw, or you can just eat 1 teaspoon of honey in the morning before breakfast, and that's absolutely fine. Include honey in your everyday nutrition, and really honey is like, for example, wine. If you are somebody who likes to drink wine, or you're a wine lover, then you would have in your home, a bottle of white wine, or a bottle of red wine, or rosé, or port. The same thing really goes with honey. If you are a honey lover like I am, you would have a couple of jars at home. One would be from the flowers, one would be from other trees, or, one would be a really precious one. I can't tell you, this is like gold for your health. This is diamond for your health. I was so happy when, they brought it to me. So include it in your everyday nutrition. Now, this is the end of this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe so that you can be notified every time a new video comes up. We're going to be talking about the different products of nature. Today we spoke about honey. Next time it's going to be about another wonderful thing. So if you like it, please press like or share it with friends, and I'll be happy to see you next time. Now, if you have questions or comments, please write them underneath the video here. Now, for discussions, which I'm sure there's going to be lots of it, they're probably going to take place in the Facebook group. So make sure you join the Facebook group so that you can have your questions answered. And we're going to have lots of discussions there. The videos are going to be in the Facebook group, so I highly recommend that you do. There's also going to be photos. So there's going to be photos in our social media, like in Instagram and Pinterest. So everything is underneath, below this video, so please click and join. So remember, the closer we are to nature, the healthier we are. See you next time.